With 1944 drawing to a close, the invasion of Dutch New Guinea brought Robert and the Allied forces one step closer to the Philippines. It also brought heartbreak and a sexual hunger that began to seep into his diary entries. Saturday, September 9th, 1944. It's been 4 days since we left the USS Allen C. Balch. Wednesday, we moved into the camp area. Fixed up the tent. The squadron had already put them up. And that afternoon, they socked our ass on the cleaning up detail. Had a condition red at 11:30, but Tojo didn't come over. Next day, we put up our corner poles in the tent. Nobody seems to want to dig the foxhole. That afternoon, we went out on the beach and started to unload. Was relieved at 7:30. Went almost to the end of the beachhead. Went up the harbor in an LCM and switched to an LCT. Had an air raid this morning at 3:30. It lasted for an hour. Tojo probably couldn't find the strip. He came in from a southwest direction. The Japs must be using float planes, for we have Halmahera pretty well knocked out. They can carry close to 46 personnel bombs in one ship, and can even toss them out by hand. August 25th, 1944, 2 were shot down. September 4th, 1944, P-38s made their first trip to Davao in the Philippines, a 1,400-mile run. We are approximately 0.5 south of the equator. There are many diseases here in Dutch New Guinea, scrub typhus being the most popular. We take 2 atabrine a day. We are a unit in the 13th Air Task Force getting ready for the big push on the Philippines. Wednesday, September 20th, 1944. Has been 10 days since I last added anything to the book. Guess it has been because I have been unloading 100-octane gas for the last week. And I'm kinda tired when I come in around 1 a.m. after unloading 90-some trucks in 8 hours. 1,100 drums all told. Went to work on the line this afternoon. Have a salvage job on a P-38 photo ship. The first crack up at Sansapor. Real news today was the posting of a list of 28 men going home on rotation. All have over 30 months here in the Southwest Pacific. Men who are not on rotation are pissed off. They don't want to work anymore. 50 men are on the next list. Received about 10 new men yesterday. Good rumors started this noon. Germany had surrendered. There was no news from the States on the rumor, but they say it hasn't been released to the civilian population, only the armed forces overseas. Read an item in our news sheet that there was to be no more rotation, only 21 days furlough after 18 months overseas, which means I'm up for a furlough next month. Sounds too good to be true. Sunday, October 1st, 1944. Had an air raid last night at 8 p.m. He dropped 6 bombs in the 13th Air Task Force headquarters. Heard 6 men were hit. Raid started at 8. The Jap came over around 8:30, with a P-61 on his tail. They opened up on him. You could see the tracers arcing over the treetops. All clear was sounded at 8:45. Lights went on and 5 minutes later he came back and dropped his load while the lights were still on. Got paid this afternoon. 220 guilders, approximately $115. 1 guilder is worth 53 cents. 11/10 of a guilder is worth 6 cents. Have some 16 men going home this month. Here I am up for corporal. Guess they're just trying to make me feel good. Got 3 cans of beer today. November 16th, 1944. Can hardly believe it has been a month and a half since I last sat down with this record of my Army life. We have been busier here than Treasury Island. The strip is getting more like Sterling every day. The 18th Fighter Group has moved up to the north, across the equator, taking the south out of Southwest Pacific area, to the Maluka Group, namely Morotai. The 18th Fighter Group consists of the 44th Fighter Squadron, who were at Guadalcanal when it was rough, as the saying goes. Also the 12th and 70th Fighter Squadrons. The 42nd Bomb Group is still here, but they have their alert orders. We got our alert orders a few days after the bomb group. They asked for the 65th Service Squadron to go along with them, instead of the 82nd Service, because we did all their work at Sterling. They are rumored to go to Luzon in the Philippines. We have a saying, Christmas dinner in Manila. Half of the original men have gone home on rotation. Men with 27 months have been given a 10-day furlough to Australia. Have been put in for corporal 4 times. Maybe this time I'll make it. Are getting 120 more men in, making around 325 all told. We are to have 10 mobile repair units. We now call ourselves Air Service Squadron. We fly to our new bases. Martha, my childhood sweetheart, married a GI from Indiantown Gap. That's what Ken says. He read it in the hometown paper. But I will have to see it first. Margaret, the hot blonde from Savannah, has stopped writing. Guess she figures 2 years is too long to write to a guy who may never come see her when I do come back. We lost a man a few weeks ago when a B-25 cracked up coming in. The crew got out and ran for cover when the ship started to burn. We had 2 men on our crash truck, and they sped to the blazing ship, trying to put the fire out. A second lieutenant from operations drove up on a jeep and was telling them to clear out, that there were 4 500-pound bombs still in the ship, when it exploded. The lieutenant was killed, and one of our men. The other was critically wounded. The commanding officer is trying to get him the soldier's medal. 2 men from the 12th Airdrome were also killed. Saw a buddy from the 11th Airdrome a few days ago. Had some bad news. A buddy had died from malaria contracted when he was at Bougainville 6 months ago. Kept putting off my voting until it was too late. Wednesday, November 22nd, 1944. Today is one of those days that you sweat out. The commanding officer had a meeting tonight, letting us in on the latest on the furloughs to the States. Seems after a year you can have 30 days in the States. 30 going, 30 home, and 30 coming back. November 25th, 1944. Had squadron formation at 1 today, telling us we are on a 24-hour notice to move. November 28th, 1944. Sergeant Berkeley told me the squadron is getting 15 men from the 11th Airdrome. Mobile repair crews are about packed. Rumor as to where we are going is to Palawan Islands in the Philippines, about 600 miles southwest of Manila. Palawan is around 100 miles north of British Borneo. December 9th, 1944. 2 weeks have passed since the outfit has had its 24-hour notice. We were issued carbines a few days ago. Have had instructions on how to handle the rifle from a rookie fresh from the States. Fired 100 rounds Wednesday. All shots hit the bullseye except one, which was outside the last ring. Had a lecture on diseases that are in the Philippine Islands. Had another today on booby traps the infantry have run into in the Philippines. The doughboy said the Air Force will probably be close enough for him to reach back and shake hands in the coming invasion of Luzon. We will have to move fast if MacArthur expects to have Christmas dinner in Manila. A lot of men on the next rotation list are sweating out this move. Who wouldn't be after 30 months overseas and still have to go into the Philippines? Monday, December 11th, 1944. We finally took Ormoc today. It's hard to believe I am only 900 miles from Leyte, where good American guys are dying so the Air Force can come in and take it easy and get all the glory. This move we will be right behind the man with the gun. Some of the 11th Airdrome men have gone over from Middleburg and are trying to transfer to the squadron. Tuesday, December 19th, 1944. Started to load the LCTs at 9 a.m. Stopped loading LCTs for some reason this noon. Believe the remaining equipment is going on LSTs. Wednesday, December 20th, 1944. First Sergeant said we would have turkey for Christmas dinner, but it would be a little early. Also said we would have our New Year's dinner on the ship. Ken is in the Philippines, and Duff's in France. A little fact on where I am. 1,900 miles to Hong Kong, China. 1,300 to Manila. 900 to Borneo. 500 to Palau. 600 to Mindanao. and 450 to Celebes. Monday, December 26, 1944. Had a formation at 7 this morning. First one in a week. A.J. Rome gave us the bad news. We are loading on LSTs at high tide tomorrow. December 27, 1944. Orders were changed to the 29th. We load on LSTs Friday. Friday, December 29, 1944. Anything can happen in a service squadron when it comes to moving in a hurry. We are not like an airdrome. Soon they can get orders Monday and be on the ship Friday. Yes, orders were changed last night. Around 9:30 the camp guard went through the area telling us. It wasn't 10 minutes after he had gone that we had a condition red which turned into an actual air raid. The first one for many men in the squadron. And we all have at least 8 months overseas. For some it's the first air raid in 14 months. Heard a good one in the showers yesterday on this Luzon move. One of the old men was talking. He said, "Now after 30 months I have to go to war. Don't have the dope on the raid as yet." We waited on the rim of a well for 10 minutes, then heard one coming in from the north. But nothing happened. A few minutes later one came in from the south. They got him in the lights almost instantly. He started to dive, loop, and bank all over the place. But they kept him in the lights. Then Akak burst around him, but none was close. He went into a dive. I slipped down into the well when I heard the swishing. Sounded like the Jap dropped 3 6,000 size ones. I had that old Munda feeling. My heart would pound like it wanted to come out of my chest. I had an empty feeling in my stomach, but I wasn't hungry, and felt weak in my knees. The Jap hung around a few minutes and then left. Condition green was given about 20 minutes later. 2 of the guys in the shack jumped and started to run. Maybe the Japs are pissed off because we shelled the coast yesterday for 3 hours. The Japs broke through 30 miles up the coast and killed 2 Dutch officers. Would give 25 guilders last night to be in the foxhole with one of the nurses up at the 172nd Hospital. December 30th, 1944. Here is the news on last night's raid. Had one this morning also. There were 2 Jap planes that came over Sansapur. Radar picked up 6. Tojo used one as a decoy, and while we had him in the lights he came in another direction and dropped from the 70th bomb area. 2 bombs hitting a lieutenant, severely injuring him. Also making a direct hit on the latrine, showering the showers with flak. They came from Saram, 365 miles southwest. Early this morning we had another one. The Navy opened up on one and shot him down. He looked like a torch falling. 20 millimeters brought him down. Monday, December 31st, 1944. Have been on LST 553 for approximately 24 hours. We boarded yesterday at 4:30 p.m. She is just about loaded. This is the new make LST, with the ramp instead of the elevator platform. It takes less time to unload. We are to unload in 12 hours. We'll have to work like hell to do it. The ship has been to Leyte twice. This will be her 3rd trip. She has 2 Jap planes to her credit, both at Leyte. One sailor said on the first trip to Leyte, woman lined the beach. This is my 2nd New Year's on an LST. Right now we are sweating out the weather. We are going to keep our bunks in the quarters, or give them up to the first 3 graders. May get a chance to get off at Leyte and see Ken. Heard we are going in D+4. New Year's Day, January 1st, 1945. This is a lovely way to spend New Year's Day on board an LST, with 600 other men. Have been on board now for 48 hours. We are at anchor 200 yards offshore, waiting for tide. January 2nd, 1945. 72 hours on board LST 553, but are still in Sansapur. We leave tomorrow morning. 22 Jap planes attacked Mindoro yesterday. 14 were shot down. January 3rd, 1945. On board LST approximately 100 hours. Are halfway to Biak, picking up convoy there for the invasion of Luzon. The convoy is the largest assembled in history. Right now it's only 5 LSTs. January 4th, 1945. Joint convoy of 17 LSTs this morning at 10:30 at Biak. Are now heading north. January 5th, 1945. Joined a convoy of some 20 transports. Have 6 destroyer escorts. Ocean is getting rougher. A few guys have brought up their dinner. We pass most of our time reading whatever you can get hold of. When stories turn up, it's really a free-for-all. A sailor gave us some good dope this morning. Said the Navy is going to shell Luzon in 48 hours. And B-24s will bomb it in 24 hours. Saturday, January 6, 1945. I've been going north by northwest since we left Biak Thursday. Should hit Palau tomorrow morning. We are no longer in the Southwest Pacific. It is the West Pacific. Sunday, January 7th, 1945. Apparently, we are not going to see Palau, or even come near it. We are a day out of Leyte. Had a condition red today. The invasion convoy was attacked from the air. All guns were ready. The remaining convoy joins us in a few days. 85 ships in all. Monday, January 8th, 1945. Got seasick today for the first time. The ocean really is rough. Are coming into Leyte Gulf tonight. General quarters was sounded at 6 p.m. because we are nearing enemy territory. D-Day is tomorrow the 9th for Luzon. Formosa is 3 weeks from the 9th. Tokyo radio said we have already invaded Luzon. Guess they're expecting us. Luzon must be getting the hell pounded out of it. We should land Saturday on Luzon. Guys are getting jumpy. When General Quarters was sounded tonight, they ran over each other in the mess hall. With 250,000 Japs on Luzon, it isn't going to be a pushover. May even get a piece of geisha girl. Tuesday, January 9th, 1945. Should be somewhere in the Camotes Sea between Leyte and Cebu, the Visayas group of the Philippine Islands. Great naval battles were fought here 2 months ago. Saw my first P-51 today. 2 buzzed over the convoy. Wednesday, January 10th, 1945. Was a little wrong where we were yesterday. We were going west below the Visayas group. Went through the Mindanao Sea, down the southern Negros. Are now in Sulu Sea west of Negros. 6th Airdrome on Negros was bombed a few days ago. We have gone through the central Philippines, into the China Sea. Have it from good authority that the invasion convoy was strafed for 3 days. They shot down 49 Jap planes. Heard from the ship's radio that the Luzon invasion was a surprise to the Japs. We have a 50-mile beachhead around Lingayen Gulf. Friday, January 12th, 1945. Convoy was attacked from the air twice today. First one came at 1:30 this afternoon. A lone Jap plane dropped his eggs on a Liberty about 5 ships back. Tonight at 6:30, 8 planes attacked. 4 was shot down. 1 suicided on some Liberty. Many men were hit from flak on another LST. We should be around Iba. The planes probably came from Clark Field. Saturday, January 13th, 1945. Today, our 19th month overseas, we dropped anchor at 11:40 a.m. in Lingayen Gulf, Luzon. From Guadalcanal to the Philippines in 18 months. Yesterday's raid, the first daylight raid I was in since coming overseas, seems like a dream. It lasted from 6:30 to 7:30. One of the planes tried to pull harbor on a Liberty, but the pilot must have been hit, for the plane fell 50 yards from the ship. Another suicided into a Liberty and abandoned ship was given, and an LST pulled over and picked up the men. We are anchored in the Gulf now. Orders have been changed again for some reason. We are not going off until the 15th. Believe we are waiting for the infantry to take the second strip. Latest news is we are 8 miles in, 90 miles from Manila. Casualties were very light on D-Day. Radio said the Japs swam out with TNT tied to them, and tried to blow up the ships. Had another condition red this afternoon at Chow. There was a few flights flying around, but don't know if they were Jap or American. Radio Tokyo said 40% of the D+4 convoy was sunk, and ships are burning in the Gulf. Our radio stated the Japs are reinforcing northern Luzon. We sank 20 of their ships. One officer went ashore to look over the area for his men. He said they are across the street from the Filipinos. The women are doing their laundry. Said the women are very friendly. The town was really shelled. You can see chunks taken out of all the office buildings. They look like Roman buildings. Sunday, January 14th, 1945. We are going to beach tomorrow, D+6. Men were shooting up the Gulf last night from their LSTs, trying to kill Japs in the water. 4 Navy planes, F-4Fs, made emergency landings here today. Rumor is the Japs sank one of our carriers up the coast. Thursday, January 18th, 1945. I'm printing this from Luzon at our new beachhead in Lingayen, where 2 weeks ago there was approximately 1,000 Japs. There is so much to tell that I don't know where to begin. The Filipinos are very friendly, the first civilians I've seen in 19 months. The people are very small, about 5'3", and look very young for their age. A girl you would take for 18 is really 23, and has 2 kids. They are very pretty, with bronze clear skin, black eyes, and black silk hair. They are well-to-do people, clean, polite, and have a better education than most of the people in the States, but are very poor in the sense of the word. They have no clothes to speak of, and very little food. We are not allowed to give them any of our food, but what can you do when they walk up to you and stand behind you, once in a while glance at you eating, and them in ragged clothes? A guy with any feelings at all couldn't take it. They stand around with empty cans, which they picked out of the trash, and wait for you to dump your remains in the can. January 20th, 1945. It's D+12 now. There is more supplies and equipment here at Lingayen now than Guadalcanal had in 6 months. Had my first fresh egg a few days ago for a long time. We have 4 chickens, which we traded for 2 undershorts, 2 undershirts, and 3 packs of cigarettes. The Filipinos next door gave up the eggs. Also bananas, the first ones we had in 19 months. Mrs. de Guzman is her name. She has 7 daughters, 3 of them married, 3 sons, all in the grave. Her husband is dead. He was a sailor on the USS Arapaho. She does our laundry and roasts our chickens. Just had our first air raid tonight. Don't know yet if he dropped any. One of her daughters was hit by shell fire while we were shelling. They have no electric lights, only an oil lamp. Therefore they go into bed early. The husband takes his wife to bed early in the evening. I guess they figure the night was made for love. If a Filipino isn't married by the time he is 21, it's a disgrace. This is the closest I have been to a woman in 19 months. And what do I do about it? I go to bed. The people are too honorable. I guess I'm a wolf at heart. When the Japs knew we were coming, they took off into the interior and south of Manila, a week before we started shelling and bombing Lingayen. The Filipinos went to other towns when we dropped leaflets telling them to evacuate. There wasn't a Jap here when we landed. All the food and even some of the women. They didn't leave a thing to brag about.